If you're a student and you ever walk home alone from school, please, don't ignore this story. Because what happened to me wasn't just bad luck. It happened because I was alone. My name is Aisha, and this is the reason I still look over my shoulder every time I hear footsteps behind me. That Friday felt completely normal. Exams had just ended, and the school was buzzing with relief. Students were laughing, shouting, making plans for the weekend. The teachers looked exhausted but happy it was over. The final bell rang a little earlier than usual, and a wave of students flooded out of the classrooms. Normally, I walked home with my best friend Senna. We'd walk the same route every day, talking about everything and nothing. But that day, she wasn't there. She had gone home early, complaining of a headache. I thought about waiting for someone else, maybe someone from my class who lived nearby. But everyone seemed to be in such a rush, scattering in different directions as soon as they left the building. I stood there for a moment, then told myself, it's just a 15-minute walk, what could possibly go wrong? That was my first mistake. As I started walking through the school corridors, something felt off. The halls, usually filled with noise and chaos, were eerily quiet. My footsteps echoed loudly against the tiled floor, the sound bouncing off the empty lockers. I passed a classroom, and the door slowly creaked open, as if pushed by an invisible hand, even though I knew no one was inside. The fluorescent lights above me flickered intermittently, casting strange, dancing shadows on the walls. When I finally reached the main gate, the security guard, a man I saw every day, gave me a strange look before locking it behind me. The heavy clang of the metal gate echoed down the empty street. For a split second, I had the weirdest feeling, a sudden urge to turn back. I felt like I wasn't supposed to leave. The road from my school to my house was a path I knew by heart. I had walked it hundreds, maybe thousands of times. But that evening, everything felt different, alien. The sky, which was usually a soft orange at this time, looked darker, almost bruised. A cold wind rustled the leaves on the trees, making them sound like whispers. The streetlights buzzed softly, their weak, yellow glow doing little to push back the encroaching shadows. Halfway down the road, as I passed the old, abandoned part of the neighborhood, I felt it, that heavy, sinking feeling in my chest. A prickling sensation on the back of my neck, the distinct feeling that someone was walking behind me. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just my imagination running wild. But the feeling wouldn't go away. I slowed down my pace, pretending to check my phone. The footsteps behind me slowed too, perfectly matching my rhythm. A chill ran down my spine. Then I heard it, a whisper, so soft, it was almost carried away by the wind. So cold, it felt like ice against my skin. It was right next to my ear, Aisha. My heart stopped beating for a second. I spun around, my breath catching in my throat. There was no one there. The street was empty. I let out a nervous laugh, trying to convince myself I was just tired and imagining things. But my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. As I forced myself to continue walking, my eyes glued to the pavement, I noticed someone standing near the old, dilapidated school building up ahead. It was a girl. She was wearing a school uniform, but it wasn't like ours. It was torn, stained with dirt, and looked decades out of date. Her long black hair was like a curtain, completely covering her face. She just stood there, perfectly still, a dark silhouette against the fading light. I hesitated for a moment, my fear battling with my concern. I took a tentative step closer and called out, my voice trembling slightly, "Are you okay?" She didn't answer. She didn't even move. Then, very slowly, she began to lift her head. I couldn't see her eyes where her eyes should have been. There was just darkness, two empty voids. Her mouth moved slightly, parting her pale lips, and she whispered, her voice a fragile, ghostly sound that seemed to come from far away. "You're walking alone." My stomach dropped. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my feet were frozen to the spot. I took a step back. She took a step forward, a smooth, gliding motion that wasn't quite human. The streetlight directly above us flickered violently, then went out, plunging us into near darkness. The air grew heavy, thick, and cold. She tilted her head to the side at an unnatural angle, the sound of cracking bone echoing in the silence. And then she said, her voice filled with a sorrow so deep it was terrifying. "So was I. What do you mean?" I asked, my own voice barely a whisper. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes, a mix of fear and a strange, overwhelming sadness. Her voice cracked, broken, as she answered, "I never reached home." And then, in the blink of an eye, she wasn't standing several feet away anymore. She was right in front of me, her face inches from mine. The smell of damp earth and decay filled my lungs. I screamed, I turned and ran. I didn't dare look back. I just ran, my lungs burning, my legs screaming in protest. I could hear footsteps behind me, pounding on the pavement. They were too fast, too close. I could hear her breathing, a ragged, desperate sound. I could hear her whispering my name, crying, pleading. I finally saw the lights of my house at the end of the street and pushed myself harder, fueled by sheer terror. I fumbled with my keys, my hands shaking uncontrollably, and finally got the door open. I slammed it shut behind me, locking it, bolting it, and then collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. That night, sleep was impossible. I lay in bed, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Every shadow in my room looked like her. Every creak of the house, every rustle of the wind outside my window made me jump. When I finally drifted into a restless sleep, my dreams were filled with her. I saw her standing on that dark street, her face hidden by her hair. I heard her voice, echoing in my mind over and over again. Don't walk alone. The next day at school, everything felt surreal. I couldn't focus. I kept seeing her out of the corner of my eye. During the morning assembly, the principal made an announcement. His voice was somber. Students, I have some sad news to share. Today marks the anniversary of a tragedy that happened 5 years ago. A student from our school disappeared while walking home alone. My chest tightened. I held my breath. The principal paused, then continued. Her name was Aisha. The entire hall went completely silent. My hands went cold. Aisha, it was my name. I finally understood. The girl I met. The ghost on the street. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She wasn't chasing me. She was warning me. She was trying to protect me because she had the same name, and she never made it home. Even today, years later, students at my old school whisper stories. They say that after the final bell rings, if you linger too long, you might see a girl walking alone down that familiar road. Her face is always hidden, her uniform old and torn. They say she whispers the names of students who are by themselves, and if you hear your name called out in the quiet of the evening, don't turn around, just run. What would you do if you heard your name whispered while you were walking home alone? Let me know in the comments below.